Hey, I have 32 after the hour, so we are going to dive in here today. My name is Raimy Rubin. I am the marketing director for CauseMatch, and I am very excited to be presenting to you today on the topic of end-of-year giving. Wanted to run through a couple of housekeeping items before we get into the meat and potatoes of it all. Our agenda today is pretty straightforward. I'm going to present for approximately 30 minutes or so, and then we'll use the remaining 15 minutes for Q&A. This is being recorded, so if you need to step out for any reason, if you want to share it with any colleagues, if you enjoy it so much the first time that you want to watch it again, this recording should be available to you by the latest tomorrow. I'm hoping to get it to you later today, but we'll see how the processing times do and the speed of which my computer can get all these things up and running. Please use the chat for any questions that you have, including the Q&A at the end of the session. I've asked my colleague Aviva Goodman, who is on to moderate that chat. So thank you, Aviva, for stepping up here. I appreciate it. Any questions that you have? I've got a lot of screens floating up here, and I'm not terribly good at multitasking. So I really appreciate, Aviva, you taking the time to be here with us today. Lastly, my email address is raimy@causematch.com. I'd love to hear from you. I'd love to get your feedback, both on this webinar in specific, as well as webinar topics in general. I really am happy and eager to hear from you. So I will make this offer to you over the course of the presentation several times, but please know that my inbox is literally and figuratively always open. I'm really, really happy to hear from you. Raimy@causematch.com. Wanted to tell you a little bit about CauseMatch itself. For those of you that are unfamiliar, CauseMatch is the most powerful fundraising platform on the market. And really what differentiates us from the other competitors in the field are these three pillars that you see on screen. One is the technology, which we're actually going to talk a little bit about today. We don't always talk so much about the technology aspect in these webinars, but we're going to get into that a little bit today. The second aspect is the fundraising strategy. We don't just want to arm you with the technology and then send you on your merry way. But I know I can speak for the rest of my colleagues when I say that we really feel like we're in it with you and want to make sure that you have all of the knowledge and best practices that you can to go out and fundraise most effectively. And the third pillar is our rapid response technical customer support. By far, when we get feedback forms from clients, the main thing that people comment on is how fast our technical customer support is. It is so fast and so helpful and so awesome. When you're running a 24, 48 hour, 72-hour campaign, things happen quickly and problems need to get solved quickly. And they're just always on the spot. So once again, I will make good on my promise from earlier. If you have any questions about CauseMatch products or services, please email me and let me know. I'm not necessarily the best person to answer your questions about these things, but I will absolutely direct you to someone who is. So please just know that that offer stands there as well. Okay, as we get into this here, I'm wondering if you can all open up your chats and just let me know what organizations you all work for and the impact area, if it's not obvious from the name of the organization. I always like to see who's here, and hopefully I can tailor some of the examples that I give on the fly to the folks that are with us today. Awesome. Keep those coming in. It's always nice to see so many familiar names and new names as well. Aviva, do we have a poll, or are we skipping that today?
I figured that people would just answer. I feel like polls are a little too cold.
No problem at all. No problem at all. All right. Awesome. Please keep those coming in as they come in, as you type here. All right. The subject today is about end-of-year giving, and I wanted to start by talking about why this matters so much. And in order to do that, I'm going to throw 3 data points at you. But before I do, we'll talk about 3 data points. These data points come from a study by M&R. They do fantastic research. I really love relying on them. I've seen a lot of data in the field. In my opinion, they do the most comprehensive studies. And I wanted to throw 3 data points at you that sort of highlight why end of year giving is so important. And the first is that 30% of all giving comes in the month of December. Nearly one third of all giving happens in the month of December. That's number one. This is all taken from 2024. The second data point I wanted to share with you is that when it comes to online revenues, specifically money that's coming in online, donations that are coming in online, anywhere from a quarter to just about a half of all donations are coming in November and December alone. November, December alone. Because we're really talking about online giving over the course of this webinar, I figured it was a good data point to bring up. And the third data point is 12% of all giving, we're coming back to all giving, not just online giving right now, but all giving happens in the last 3 days of the year, the 29th, the 30th, and the 31st. I wanted to bring these data points up for you for two reasons. Number one is that Giving Tuesday gets a lot of attention, and I don't want to spend too much time right now telling you my true feelings about Giving Tuesday, but suffice to say, more of your attention should be spent on end of year giving than on Giving Tuesday. Giving Tuesday is relatively new and shiny and gets a lot of press and buzz out there, but end of year giving is when the real magic happens when it comes to fundraising. So that's point number one that I wanted to make. Point number two that I wanted to make in light of these data points is that I know we have a lot of Jewish organizations on the call today on this, and I think there's a reasonable claim to make that these numbers might be a little bit lower if we just isolated Jewish organizations. The reason being for that claim that Jewish communities tend to give at other points in the year, right? We have our Rosh Hashanah and Yom Kippur, our high holidays. We have other Jewish holidays, Purim and Pesach, that Jewish communities tend to give. And I think that that is valid, that if we were to look just at Jewish organizations, we would see these numbers come down. However, I think they would only come down slightly. I think the difference would be smaller than you might expect it to be, because certainly when it comes to US giving, all of this, what I'm about to tell you is true about the US. If you look at the last 10 years or so, really since President Trump's first term in office, the laws around taxes have been scaled back tremendously, and people are not itemizing their tax-deductible charitable donations nearly to the same extent that they were prior to President Trump's first term. In other words, for the overwhelming majority of people, especially those that are not high-worth individuals and families, it does not make any sense to itemize your charitable gifts, and there's no real tax benefit from giving before the end of the year. And yet, we have not seen end-of-year giving go down at all. So it happens to be that with the Beautiful Bill Act, more people are going to start itemizing again, starting whenever those laws kick in. None of that is neither here nor there. The point is that people, certainly in the States, are habitualized to giving now, even though there is no logical reason for them to be doing so any more than any other time of the year. They are habitualized to doing so, and I believe that is true for the Jewish community as well. So I just sort of wanted to get out in front of that from the get-go, that I believe that all of these things are absolutely true for Jewish organizations, as well as they are for other religion or non-sectarian organizations. In thinking about the material that I was going to present today, I wanted to sort of narrow down my focus, because when we think about end-of-year giving, there's endless amounts of material to talk about. And I really wanted to tailor this presentation to organizations and individuals that have limited time, limited budget, and a lot riding on December. Because if we're looking at organizations that have been planning their end of year campaigns since June, or organizations that have lots of money to throw around social media campaigns or buying influencers or anything like that, then really the sky is the limit. There is no shortage of ideas and great things that we can do with lots of time and lots of budget. But I thought it would be most beneficial for us today to think about sort of like the bare minimum that we need to do to run an awesome end of year campaign, because I believe that that's where most organizations are going to fall into. So just in terms of everything that I'm going to share with you over the course of the next 25 minutes or so, there's always so much more that we can do. And the point of this isn't to say that this is all you have to do and then you can, wrap it up and move on with your way, go on your way. You can always add more to this, but in my opinion, everything I'm going to share with you is the minimum of what you need for an awesome end of year campaign. Well, what we're going to do is I wanted to run through 5 things 5 things on how you can raise more money on with limited time and limited budget. And I just want to give you a sneak peek of them right now. The 5 things are going to be, we're going to cover what really drives year-end success. We're going to discuss the actual campaign structure, what actually needs to be sent out in order to do this well. I want to talk about how you might be able to use an ambassador-led campaign, even if you're not running a fully fledged peer-to-peer campaign. There's still things that I think you can do to keep it lean and super, super effective. I want to share with you some free and easy tech tools that I think will save you a lot of hassle. And I recently read a book about time-rich versus money-rich models. And I wanted to sort of give ourselves an exercise of running it through that lens, looking at fundraising through the lens of time-rich versus money-rich. And we'll get into that at the end. So let's start with what really drives year-end success. There's 3 ingredients to this recipe. The first one is going to be that we want a strong story, a strong story. You need messaging that makes people feel something. What this is not, is it's not a list of your programs. It is not your mission statement. It is something emotional, a story about a person in a way that the donor can help. Those of you, I know there's a couple of people here today that I've worked with you on your CauseMatch campaigns, and those of you will recognize that one of the first things that I say when I get into crafting an effective fundraising message for your campaigns is the narrative arc that we're looking for, no matter what we're doing, is problem, solution, call to action, right? Whether we're sending out WhatsApp messages or posting on social media or making a phone call, it's always going to be problem, solution, call to action. Stories are how the brain makes decisions. People don't give because of logic. We give because of emotion. We give because we care, and stories are the best way to create that emotional connection. So we always want to start with a strong story. The next thing we want is a simple ask. We want to ask people to do one thing. Now, I will share with you that my thinking has come around on this because when I first started and was writing a lot of fundraising messaging for CauseMatch campaigns, I was asking people to do a lot. I was asking them in one single piece of communication. I would ask them to give and to share and to follow and to comment and to watch this video. And there were all these different calls to action that sort of diffused someone's attention and people didn't know what to do. I want the ask to be super, super simple. The more specific and the simpler that it can be, the better. So you can even think about segmenting your list. Let's just say you're going to ask everyone who's given $0 or $1 to $100 with one email, and that's going to be a segment. I'd even encourage you to ask them for a specific dollar amount. Please give $50 today. We humans are very good at following instructions. We just need those instructions to be simple and clear, and then we're able to do it. But it all starts with a simple ask. And the third ingredient here is a clear goal. I've seen a lot of organizations get this wrong as well. They'll put up what their goal is and they'll say, we're trying to raise $50,000 or $100,000 by the end of the year. And the reason why that is an incomplete sentence is because that's a very organizational focused statement. We are trying to raise $100,000. That is not a donor focused statement. And to say it sort of in an extreme way, donors don't care what your organization's goal is. What donors care about is the impact that they can have when they donate. So what that statement is missing is the so what. We are trying to raise $50,000 so that every child who wants an education has access to it regardless of financial household constraints. Or we are trying to raise $100,000 so that everyone who walks through our building can be served a warm meal and has a bed to sleep in that night. Whatever the end of that statement is, it needs to be something strong. It needs to point the donors to what the impact will be when they donate. So a strong story, a simple ask, and a clear goal all go a very long way. In fact, I would say that these are the real foundation for your year-end campaign. If you don't have these things, then nothing else really matters. These are the 3 things that you need to build upon everything else that we're going to talk about. And this is where you should start. So this is number 1. Number 2, we're going to talk about the actual campaign structure that you need. What is the actual formula? So once again, these have 3 ingredients to this recipe. And the first is going to start with 3 emails. Now, I guess you're catching me in a little bit of an honest moment here. Because when I started putting this presentation together, my 3 emails I was going to tell you to be some sort of teaser email that says something big is coming. a hard launch email that says we're kicking off our year-end campaign, and it's not too late email to come right at the end of the calendar year. But I don't think that a teaser email is the way to go, because it takes a lot to get someone's attention. It takes a lot to capture someone's attention. And if all we're asking them to do when we capture their attention is pay attention to the next thing that we send, that's a lost opportunity. So I would encourage your emails to be a launch email, an update email, and that last chance, it's not too late email. And in that way, you're going to be able to, when you capture their attention, once again, tell them exactly what you want them to do. Have that simple ask, have that super clear call to action, so that they'll open up your email and know exactly what to do when they get it. The second ingredient to this one is a clear landing page with a bold visionary statement and something that is emotionally drawing. Of course, if you are CauseMatch clients, we can help you with this. This is what we specialize in getting those landing pages that are optimized and the forms are frictionless and everything is super, super easy for donors to get to the landing page and convert as a donor. In terms of the actual messaging for this, I would also encourage you to reuse almost verbatim the language that you're going to use for your emails. Or to say it the other way, if you're going to do your landing page first, you can take your landing page messaging and input it into your emails, whichever way you want to do it. If that feels like it's going to be repetitive to you, that's okay, because I was trying to think of an example for this. If I go online and I'm looking for a pair of shoes that are going to make me run really fast and jump really high, and I find them and I click on it, and then it takes me to a checkout page where it says, these shoes are going to look really good with your jeans, there's a disconnect there, right? The thing that got me to click on the link in the first place is not the same thing that's getting me to actually complete my purchase. So what we want is that that message, whatever's going to get them to click in the first place, to follow through all the way to the point of conversion, to the point to the point of transaction on the landing page itself. And we'll use the same language, and that will of course cut back on your work as well. You do not need to reinvent the wheel. I get asked a lot about repetition, 3 emails in a very short amount of time, landing page that contains a lot of the same copy. And what I will say to you is that we want things to be repetitive, right? It takes a lot to cut through all of the noise that's out there. And one of the best ways to do it is repetition. There is a reason why 30 years later, the Kit Kat jingle is perpetually stuck in my head, right? There's a reason that give me a break, break me off a piece of that Kit Kat bar is like ringing in my head constantly, because I didn't just hear that commercial once when I was a kid, I heard it all the time. And that's how it becomes sticky. And that's what we want to do in a very short amount of time with our campaigns. We want them to be sticky. We want people to recognize it. I was working with an organization before Rosh Hashanah, and I encouraged them to send out 3 emails leading up to the high holidays in a 10-day window. And they were very reluctant to do it because they were very nervous about annoying their audience, about unsubscribes, etc. But I encouraged them to do it, and they did. And after the high holidays, I caught up with them and I said, how did your email campaign go? And they said, oh, it's very interesting. The first email did okay, about what we expected. The second email did a little bit better than we expected. And the third email surpassed our expectations. We did really well with it. And in talking it out with them, I wasn't really so surprised for 2 reasons. One, the closer that we get to the milestone itself, whether it's the high holidays or whether in this case it's January 1st, the more likely we're going to get people's attention, right? Because in those last 3 days of the year, that's when people are giving. But the other reason is that after 3 times they've seen your message, they start to recognize it. When people don't take an action, it's not necessarily, in fact, most of the time it's not because they have actively chosen not to give you. It's that they're busy at that moment, they get distracted by something else, they file it away for later and never come back to it, or they wait for your prompt to come back to it, and that means another email. So 3 emails, 1 landing page, all with very similar messaging, I believe will go a very, very long way for your year-end campaign. And the third piece of this puzzle, for this particular piece, for this particular step, is a thank you plan. Obviously, donors should be getting a point of transaction receipt some sort of acknowledgements that they have given right then and there, confirmation. But beyond that, I want you to think about what you can do for donors to make them feel awesome about their gift. I love this part. The gratitude piece of this is my favorite part of the fundraising process, and I love thinking about this. So just to throw out some ideas, handwritten notes are always good. A WhatsApp note, a voice note, video, some sort of like WhatsApp message that again cuts through all the other noise that's out there, cuts through the clutter, it gets right to them. A phone call. I know all of this might sound overwhelming, but first of all, I wanted to tell you two things. One, you can outsource some of this work to other people on your team, whether that's your board members or other staff members. It's perfectly acceptable, even if you have the relationship with a donor, for a staff member to write some sort of thank you note to a donor that says, I saw that you gave, it means a lot to me. It's going to help me do my job and have such an amazing impact on the people that we serve. That is perfectly acceptable. The other thing that I would like to share with you is one of the greatest pieces of advice I got in fundraising that I like to share with other fundraisers is to do for one what you wish you could do for many. So often we're not able to write. You're not able to write everyone a handwritten thank you card. Of course, that would take up a ton of your time and you have other priorities going on. But that doesn't mean that you should write 0 people a handwritten thank you card. If you're able to do one a day, and again, if you ask your board president or someone else to do one a day, knowing that you're not going to create a system to cover everybody, that is still better than nothing. So do for one what you wish you could do for many. In any case, while you're putting this whole plan together, the most important thing is that you think about what that thank you plan, what that gratitude plan is going to look like so that donors feel great about having given to your organization. Okay, let's talk a little bit about using ambassador voices. So I know that some of you are running end-of-year peer-to-peer campaigns. Many of you are not, and that is perfectly fine. What I would suggest is that you find a couple of trusted voices. And if we need a number just to throw out there, let me suggest 5 to 10 people within your organization that you trust, that know you, that are champions of your organization, that you can use as ambassadors. These can be board members or volunteers or alumni, people who just love your cause and are willing to speak for it. At CauseMatch, we see every single day how game-changing ambassador-led fundraising can be. It's not for every organization at all times. You can't run a peer-to-peer campaign all the time. So if you have another one over the course of the year, or you're not prepared to run one within the next 6 weeks, that's fine. But you can do this lightweight version of it. And the ROI on this is just tremendous for a relatively small amount of work. It is an amazing ROI for a really, really good bang for your buck. Once you have those 5 to 10 trusted voices that you can use to be ambassadors, make it super easy for them to do their job and to fundraise. You want to be giving them those messages that they can use. You want to give it to them in different formats so that they can email or WhatsApp or make phone calls or post on their Instagram page, whatever they're going to do. You want to make it easy for them to be able to customize it for themselves, and for them to share it. If there's graphics that go along with it, you can share it with them, bring them in on the inside and give them as many resources as you can so that they can go in and do their job, which is to raise your organization money. And the third piece of it is to cheer them on. Really, really make them feel like insiders. These are people that are coming into the inside of your organization and joining the team in a lot of ways. I think about it like this. If you have a donor, this example will vary, depend on the size of your organization, but if you have a donor who gives you $5,000, you're going to treat that donor, I don't know if that's a major donor for all of your organizations, but even for those of you that it's not, that's still a significant amount of money. That's someone that you're going to pay attention to, that you're going to give some level of importance to. You're going to treat that person well because you have a $5,000 donor in front of you right now. If you have an ambassador who's bringing in that same amount of money, who's bringing in $5,000, in your head, you should be treating that ambassador in the same way, just because that money isn't coming from their pockets, but they are a conduit to that same amount of money. And in a lot of ways, there's more potential because there's more people to fundraise from within that group. But I just want to flip the switch in your brains a little bit to think of your ambassadors as people that are really on the inside of your team, and you should make it their job as easy as possible and cheer them on as they make progress toward their goals. Free and easy tech tools. I really do want to make this as simple. None of this stuff is easy, but I want to make this stuff as simple for you as I can. And I'm trying to be, as much as I can, a student of the resources that are available to us, to all of us, to make our jobs easier. So I wanted to highlight a couple of things that you may be aware of, you may not be aware of. I'm not sure what level of technological sophistication we're looking at. So I wanted to come up with things that I think will be applicable for most of the people, if not everyone, who's with us here today. The first free and easy to use tech tool that I wanted to bring your attention to is the CauseMatch dashboard. This is true for CauseMatch clients, but there is a lot going on in the back end that you may not even be aware of. And just to highlight a couple of those things that I think will be tremendously beneficial for you as you're putting together a year-end campaign. Number one is Donor Connect, which is a way for you to email, WhatsApp, for you to message your donors directly from the CauseMatch dashboard without messing with your CRM, without messing with your email clients. It comes directly from the CauseMatch dashboard, super easy filters and segments. It can save you a lot of time just being able to communicate with your people directly from this portal. So that's number one. The other, if you are running a peer-to-peer campaign, if you are choosing those ambassador voices, the other two things I want to draw your attention to is we have Ambassador Connect, which allows you to communicate directly with your ambassadors en masse. So you can just treat them all as a group and get them all on board, share resources, offer encouragement, all in one shot, along with the Ambassador Command Center, which is going to give you a total 360-degree view of all of the progress that your ambassadors are making. So even if you have 5 ambassadors, it still can be tricky to figure out who's making what calls, who's making progress, who's hasn't picked up the phone yet. Your Ambassador Command Center is going to give you that window right in one screen. It makes your life much easier when you're managing ambassadors for your campaign. So that's the first free and easy tech tool. The second, there's actually three in one here, is Canva. I believe that most people know Canva. Canva does graphic design, all sorts of different graphics, images. I created this if we can mute, thank you. I created this very slide deck on Canva. It's really easy to use. I am not a graphic designer. I'm like whatever the opposite of a graphic designer is, and Canva makes it easy. The free version is really robust, and I would encourage you to check out Canva if you have not. The other one that I've been falling in love with that is a little bit less well known than Canva, I would say, is Gamma. Gamma also does graphics. It is also a graphic design system. I find it to be a little bit not just easier to use than Canva, but it has some more functionality. This would be good for social media posts, for any sort of images that you want to share with your ambassadors or anything like that. The thing that I love about Gamma is it's much more AI driven than Canva is. So you can give it instructions. You can give it instructions without actually saying what words you want to appear on screen. You can just sort of tell it the general idea that you want, and it will generate those ideas for you. What I have found myself doing is having my brainstorming session in ChatGPT, where I'll like talk out with ChatGPT what I actually want and what I'm trying to accomplish with these graphics. And then I'll even ask ChatGPT to write me a prompt that I can copy and paste into Gamma. It all feels like I'm in a sci-fi movie sometimes, but I take that ChatGPT prompt and then I'll throw it into Gamma, and Gamma is able to produce really beautiful looking slide decks, images, social media posts, like whatever you're looking for, they're able to cover it. Definitely check out Gamma. The third tool is Clipchamp. Clipchamp is a video editor for non-video editors. I will be editing this very video with Clipchamp afterward and trying to get it up to Vimeo and YouTube and all those good places. So if you are putting together videos, and again, you could be doing this for any purpose. You could be filming behind the scenes content for your top donors and just kind of giving them a window into what your everyday looks like. Or you could be filming a message for your ambassadors, thanking them, or for your donors, thanking them, and sort of like a selfie video. But if those videos need any editing whatsoever, Clipchamp is an awesome tool to use. All of these obviously have paid versions as well, but I found the free versions for each of these tools to be really robust. And the third tool that I wanted to share with you is Zapier. Zapier essentially connects other apps together. So if you want a specific spreadsheet updated every time a donation comes in, or if you want someone to be notified when some action is taken, Zapier does a lot of that work for you. Once again, the pro version is definitely amazing, but I have found the free version to cover most organizations' needs, assuming they're not too sophisticated. If you need different applications talking to each other, your CRM, your email clients, and they're just not doing it in the best possible way, or Google Sheets or Airtable, whatever you're using, Zapier is an amazing tool. It will save you a lot of time once you have that set up. So those are my free and easy tech tools to offer you. Last slide here, and then we're going to do a quick review, and we'll see what time we have remaining for Q&A. I wanted to talk a little bit about money-rich versus time-rich models. So money-rich models, start with money-rich models, I think are fairly straightforward. Those are organizations, those are going to be campaigns that have the budget to run ads for cold audiences, or boost content to drive traffic, or hire copywriters and graphic designers and people to make donor calls. Those are organizations that have the budget to do these types of fancy things. And that is obviously awesome. And if you have the ability to do that, Godspeed, that's amazing. Should be very successful with those things. My hesitation with money-rich organizations is twofold. Number one is most of the organizations that I speak to do not fall into this category. And number two is even for those that do, I've seen a lot of organizations that simply don't realize that money buys attention, but not connection. And fundraising, we're trying to form relationships, we're trying to form connections. So that's why I tend to speak more and think about more time-rich campaigns, time-rich organizations. Time-rich campaigns are those that can focus on the building deep relationships. They can make phone calls to ambassadors, or have their staff call up donors. It can be really truly investing in WhatsApp groups and WhatsApp communities to bring alumni around a cause. It could be doing peer-to-peer ambassador-led campaigns and connecting those ambassadors with donors that they could develop relationships with. This is where the exponential growth happens. It's slower, it's harder, you can't throw money at the problem, but it's more effective. And it's especially true with loyal donors and tight-knit communities, which again, I think looking at the folks that are here today is really what we're talking about here, those tight-knit communities that are trying to build deep relationships. The money-rich campaigns cannot come at the cost of having that amazing story and that clear ask and a great landing page. It can't skip that, giving a reason for people to care. Cannot skip that step. The mistake that I see a lot of organizations making is trying to do both at the same time and not doing either particularly well. So they'll form a WhatsApp community, but they won't really invest in it. They'll boost a social media post, but they don't really know what they're doing, and they'll do it one time and it didn't work, and then they'll sort of give up. They're trying to do too much, and they're not doing any of those things well. And I wanted to end with this slide because a lot of what I'm thinking about in terms of end of year giving is trying to do fewer things, but do those things well. I think you'll do a much better job fundraising if you choose the things that you want to focus on and do them well, as opposed to spreading yourself thin, trying to do too much and not doing any of them particularly well. In a lot of ways, I wanted this to be like your permission slip to cut some of the fat of the things that are going on within your organization and focus on the things that are actually going to generate donations at the end of the year. And this whole model in terms of the emails and the landing page and the thank you plan and the ambassador-led campaigns, the ambassador-led fundraising are the ingredients that I think you need to run a really, really effective end of year campaign. So that is what I wanted to get through. Just as a quick recap, because I know I threw a lot at you in the last half hour, we're going to focus on the big three: a story, an ask, and a goal. We're going to keep it lean with 3 emails, one landing page and one thank you plan. We're going to empower our ambassadors, peer-to-peer led fundraising. We're going to use tech to save us time, not to add noise, not just to be fancy, but to save us time. And we're going to pick our lane. We're going to choose time or money. We're going to choose it, and we're going to do it well. So with that, I wanted to share my email one more time. I know I went over a little bit. We have about 8 minutes or so for questions. If people have questions, I'm happy to spend the next chunk of time answering those, and anything that we don't get to, you have my email address.
So thank you so much, Raimy. I really enjoyed this because even though, I've been in the fundraising industry for so long, getting such a clear and concise goal, especially as we hit the high season for fundraising, like helps motivate at least me when it comes to, taking on tasks for fundraising. I wanted to first bring your attention to the first question by Matt Maines. How do we prevent ambassador burnout at the end of the year when we might be running a different peer-to-peer campaign earlier in the year or a different time?
So, hi, Matt. Nice to hear from you. See if you haven't seen you in a while. It's a very good question. And I don't want to answer it right now. I just want to validate it and say that it is a genuine concern. I think ambassador fatigue is very real, and I don't want to burn ambassadors out if you're planning on, quote unquote, using them for a larger campaign. So that's why I think that I would really want you to be strategic about who you ask to be your fundraisers, to be your ambassadors. If you feel like you are at risk of overextending them, then I would maybe pass on that, or at least have a conversation with it, approach it with them a little bit more delicately. But it is something real, and it's a good thing to be aware of. I do think there are ways to get over it. I think it's a little bit at the moment. I feel like if I start talking about that, I'm going to use up that time, but that's something I'm happy to follow up with you about and think about different ways that we can overcome the ambassador fatigue, because it definitely is a real thing.
So Mo Kaplan said, does running a monthly giving campaign at the end of the year for into the, sorry, I'm
into the habit of
the year.
Yeah, I think it does. I think it does. Monthly giving is, as you know, Mo, is a specific ask. It is a different ask than just asking people to give. It has to be done in a slightly different way than just asking people for a one-time gift. But I think it absolutely does fall into that end of year giving. Coming back to the issue of tax deductibility or not, the commitment is coming at the end of the year. And that's something that is sort of agnostic when it comes to whether there's a tax benefit or not. It's just for people to end the year on a high note in terms of their philanthropy and goodwill. So I don't see any reason why monthly giving should be ill-affected by end of year giving. If anything, I could see it stronger just because, again, people want to end that year on the high note.
Any more questions? If you want, you can also ask, you can unmute yourself and ask that way as well.
I have a question.
Leon?
Hi. I'm Doris from Dallas, Texas, and I have to say that the grandmother of Binyamin, who was the reason that Binyamin was started, lives here in Dallas, and she's a dear friend, and it's a wonderful organization. And also, Rachel Fisher, I live half a mile from Westchester Day School. Well, I grew up half a mile from there. Anyway. And hello, Raimy formerly from Pittsburgh, who I haven't seen in over 20 years. Anyway, okay, so our campaign is running Sunday and Monday, exactly a week before Hanukkah, December 7th and 8th. So I'm thinking, well, the launch email, please God, is going out today. And I wanted your suggestion, would the update come in 2 weeks, and then the it's not too late, whatever communication come out a week before the launch?
So this is your like big staple annual campaign that you're doing for the year?
Yes.
So in that case, I would probably recommend more than 3 emails. Because I think if this is really the centerpiece of your fundraising efforts, it will require more to again, cut through all the noise that's out there. I think letting people know ahead of time is fine. I know I knocked teaser emails before, but I don't think they're always not good. I think they're just not good if you have a limited amount of time and space to be able to send them. So I don't think a teaser email letting people know what's coming is a bad idea at all, but I would certainly want to build momentum over the course of the campaign by giving probably more frequent updates and letting people know what the progress is toward your goal over whatever that window is, whether it's a 36-hour campaign or whatever, because people are going to want to join that winning team as they see momentum building, and they're going to want to help you cross the finish line as you get closer. And that's just going to require a little bit more communication.
Okay, that makes sense. Thank you.
Sure.
So Leanne Heller had asked, what do you think about having a group of volunteers? So they're not necessarily ambassadors, but they're volunteers for a call center for end of year gifts.
So if I understand the question correctly, the main distinction I would make between a volunteer and ambassador, the way that we're using those terms, is that a volunteer presumably won't have that personal goal and probably will not be calling one's own family and friends, but would you be using a organizational list? I'm guessing from the
Yeah,
question
that's correct. That's
Okay.
correct.
Okay. So I think that would be a great idea. I don't think that would have quite the same effect as ambassadors, but certainly phone calls are, I think, the best way to reach people when it comes to fundraising right now. That's certainly a way to get people right then and there to give. So I'm always a fan of call centers or getting volunteers to give. I just don't want to conflate that those are equal to ambassador-led fundraising, which would be a little bit stronger because those personal motivational goals go a long way. But yeah, that would be a fantastic.
The reason I was thinking that is because we had a CauseMatch campaign and we don't want to overtax our ambassadors,
Sure.
like to avoid that ambassador burnout.
Makes total sense.
Okay, thank you.
I have a question. Hi, it's Nissan from Cape Town. Is it accepted practice? Is it normal to, instead of like a teaser email, or in your like sort of announcement launch email, we're doing something we've never done before, and that is just a straight up, no matches, nothing. We're just using ambassadors and I guess our entire database to try and raise real money in the time. Is it normal to ask people sort of what they think they would be able to give? Like, we're having a campaign in a month. Would you be able to or to make a pre-pledge? Not to make a pre-pledge. I guess my question is, like, is it normal to sort of ask them to gauge what they think they'd be able to? Because we have no idea what to expect. We just like to know where we stand.
Interesting.
It's a bit of a.
I think that would work at the higher end for more major donors. I do not think that I would go that route for the crowd. The reason being that most people who give from the crowd are we actually want them to be giving impulsively. We want this to be like something that we catch them and they're emotionally driven to give because someone made an ask of them. And I think it's one of those things where asking them ahead of time might give you a better sense of what your goal can be, but I don't think that will help you on a conversion process getting donations. I think it might hurt you there. On the higher end, major donors, people that you can sort of count on, you just don't know for how much. That's a different story. That's someone you have a relationship with that you're able to ask that question in a real way. Yeah.
Makes sense. Thank you.
Sure. Eva, I think we got time for one more, then we'll stick to our time limit here, time frame here.
I have a question. I'm at Sulam. I work with Leanne, and along the line of what she was suggesting about a, cold calling. Could you speak real quickly about how you would ask for a repeat donation, like a monthly donation? How you said that's different than asking for, a one-time amount
It
of money.
is. It is. I'm happy to answer that question. And Marilyn, I'm also happy to share. I don't know when it was because time has become a flat circle for me, but I think 2 months ago or 4 months ago, we had a webinar on monthly giving that
Okay.
that is available where we walk through a little bit of that. But the bottom line is that you want to ask for monthly giving to be a little bit more about explaining why it's important from a stability perspective and making people feel more on the inside like it's part of this exclusive club. It is a harder ask. It is more of an ask. So understanding what the benefits are for the donor, and that can be in terms of what they receive in return, whether there's swag or just a branded name where suddenly they become a organizational champion, whatever you're going to label that. There's a way to sort of bring them in and make them feel like they have just entered this fraternity of people that truly and deeply care about the organization.
Even if it's a modest amount monthly, even we're talking about $18 a month. I mean, if you have enough donors who will do $18 a month, that can add up.
Absolutely. It's just people are, it's from a organizational side, it's wonderful. I'm suggesting that it's a harder ask because people are more likely to say no, right? Getting a one-time gift is easier. So the incentive for giving a monthly gift is really twofold. One, you're truly helping the organization because there's more stability. And two, there's I want to call it superficial because it's not superficial, but there's that more superficial element of entering that club and getting the awesome winter hat that comes with it or the branded mug, and you get to put on your card that you're on with a bumper sticker that says, I'm one of the few that is part of this circle. I think those elements tend to speak to people a little bit more when trying to get them to do something above and beyond what their normal one-time gift would be.
And where would I find that webinar?
It is on YouTube, and
I just dropped it in the chat.
And
oh, thank you. Okay.
Of course.
fantastic.
If we have time for one last question,
Sure.
Lee Tannenbaum, I believe she also works for Sulam, asked about having a hard time getting ambassadors. And how would you, in like one sentence or less, get people to agree to be an ambassador?
I'm with Joseph Bell Museum.
Oh, okay. I apologize. Thank you for correcting me.
And we have a campaign going right now. And even the
okay.
people we reached out to are supposedly supporters, especially the Israeli ones. Israelis don't want their name on anything. And I noticed most of the donors have donated anonymously.
Interesting. Interesting.
So
Raimy, can I take this one?
we're having a really hard time with our campaign.
Sometimes, because I also have done coaching for plenty of campaigns, and something that I have seen when it comes to ambassadors is that word ambassador has with sort of like a connotation. It talks about having to do something, have to speak out. So what you want to do when you're asking for ambassadors to become ambassadors is make very clear what you're asking them. You're not telling them, oh, I expect you to call every person in your contact book, or I expect you to call these random numbers. It's saying, hey, you have a network, okay? Like the 7 degrees of separation, you have a network. Are you comfortable asking, maybe 10, 20 people to donate to this just because you care about it? And if you can make that language very, very finite and very, very direct, and you give clarity to what being an ambassador means for your organization, you will often skip a lot of the resistance that comes feeling like, oh, like it's going to be too hard or it's going to be too much of a commitment. Sometimes it's just about making it bite-sized pieces and, getting them to sort of step up and engage because they love your organization and not have to put so much weight on the title or quote unquote the role itself. It's telling them, this is what I want you to do. Are you willing to do this? Okay.
Well said. Well
Raimy,
said.
do you have anything to add?
No, I think that was very, very well said. Very well said. Amazing. So with that, I've kept you over time and I apologize for that. I wanted to thank you all. And I will do my best to get this recording out to you all later today, and if not tomorrow. But once again, my email address is still on screen and I'm happy to continue the conversation. Thank you so much.